Hi everyone, it's Lisa. Welcome back to the channel. Today is day 7 of Vlogmas. I was going to do another video which I'm going to have to edit up sometime in the week and put up. So because my phone's not working properly, I'm recording this on my tablet, and that's why it might be a bit wobbly. But also there might be a difference in sound quality or something, I'm not sure. But I will get the other one done and finished, and I will get this one up tonight. So what I wanted to talk about tonight, in lieu of the other video, was mindfulness. And before you all switch over to another channel, just bear me out. Christmas can be really stressful. This time of year can be really difficult for some people, whether that's because you're not spending it with family, or because you're alone, or because there's a triggering thing that's happened, or whether it's because you are spending it with family and you've got to do all the preparations and the cooking and the shopping and everything else, or just because everywhere is rammed and people seem to go mad at this time of year. Whatever it is, there can be all sorts of reasons why you feel stressed or anxious. And mindfulness, I'm going to give you a couple of coping strategies which are really useful ways of stopping something called amygdala hijack. Now, the amygdala is a small gland in the brain, and it's a really important piece of your brain because basically hundreds of millions of years ago, that was the piece of brain that told us that rustling noise in the bushes could be a saber-toothed tiger, we might need to run or we might need to fight it. As we've evolved, that gland has never gone away. But these days what triggers us is being bumped by a trolley in the supermarket, or by having the last car parking space being taken by somebody as you were waiting for it in Tesco's, or at Tesco's rather, not in Tesco's, or maybe having your card not go through the card reader and kind of having that embarrassed moment. All of these things now trigger the amygdala, and some of it's useful, but a lot of it isn't. Do we really need a fight or flight response when somebody said something we didn't like? Well, in this day and age, we're probably not going to go and beat them up. So no, we don't need to have our body prepared for physical activity and violence. We don't need to have that preparation happening, and yet it still does. Which is why sometimes when somebody says something, you might think, oh, steam comes out of their ears. Well, that is actually your amygdala reacting. It's sending cortisol through the brain, it's sending the adrenaline levels up, it's basically getting your body ready to fight or run. However, there's another part of the brain which we can engage and which actually overrides the amygdala. And the way I always talk about it, it's a bit like if you've got an extension cable that's got one socket, the amygdala's got one plug, and the insula, which is the other part of the brain I'm talking about, has got another plug. Or you can have the insula plugged in, or you can have your amygdala plugged in. You can't have both. And this is a really useful thing to know, because sometimes you might find yourself getting, your heart rate starts going and your breathing starts getting shallower, and you find yourself starting to either get angry or start to panic. It can be an anxiety response. So if you don't like crowds of people and you find yourself in a supermarket and it's really busy, and you start, I don't like this, there's too many people here, your heart might start going. Or if somebody cuts you up on the way through, or nicks the last parking space, or whatever it is, you might start getting a bit, that's really testing me now because, I'm really running late and I really need to get to the supermarket, or whatever it may be. That response in this day and age isn't helpful, and it can actually cause long-term damage. The reactions to cortisol and that on the brain can have all sorts of implications, especially if you've got other ongoing health conditions. It can cause stress-related illnesses. It can cause, they're saying that stress is likely to be the #1 killer. It's been linked to cancers, it's been linked to heart attacks, obviously, all sorts of other things that happen. So, 2 techniques that you can use to bring your amygdala under control and bring yourself out of amygdala hijack. One of them is a distraction technique, and basically it's just counting. Really simple, just counting. But you have to count in threes, or you have to count every other something, and you have to engage the insula by looking at, so using your senses, so using the sense of vision, and another part of your brain, the frontal cortex, which is your part which works out things, so numbers and categories and things like that. So you might say to yourself, right, I'm going to count, I'm in the supermarket, so we'll give that scenario, it's Christmas time, right? So we're in the supermarket, and the woman at the front of the queue, okay, she's just started bagging her items, and now she's chatting to the cashier, and she's packing really slowly, and oh no, her bag for life has got a hole in it, so she needs to, oh no, she got the wrong milk, can somebody go and change it? And so, oh, now she's slowly packing, and you're like, it's fine, I've only got an hour left on my parking ticket, but you know, it's fine. And then she pulls out a wad of coins. Oh, before she does that, she gets the vouchers out around bag, and then she tries to pay in coins, and then she gets the checkbook out, and then she wants to get, you know, how many points are on it, and can she use this, and oh, actually, can she just return this item because she hasn't got enough money? And you're 2 or 3 people behind her in the queue getting more and more wound up. There's nothing you can do, but you get really wound up. So what you might want to do is this technique. It's a distraction technique. Just look around you and say, how many people are wearing a woolly jumper? Okay, well, count them. Okay, and then make it slightly more difficult. How many people wearing a woolly jumper are wearing a Christmas woolly jumper? Okay, well, there's 2 over there. How many over there? A couple over there. Okay, or if you're somewhere where they've got like Venetian blinds like the ones behind us, count the slits, but count every other one, or count them in 3s. Or count how many, if you're in a supermarket and they've got 27 checkouts, how many of those checkouts have got the Christmas cracker display on top of them, and how many have got the baubles? Well, actually, 1, 2, you know, and actually do physical counting. That might be enough if you're in early stage amygdala hijack. If your amygdala's just started running, that could be enough to pull you back. If, however, you've gone slightly beyond that and you are in amygdala hijack, then you might need to use a different technique. Now, this one we call 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's really simple. Again, the principle is to engage your senses. So the first one you just engage sight, this one you engage all 5 of them, and it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And basically how it works is you realise, so if your heart starts going and your breathing starts going, or if you find yourself getting a bit snappy for no reason, and you find yourself, you might just think, okay, I need to just bring it back a little bit. Say to yourself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what you do is this, you say, right, what 5 things can I see that are blank? So you might say that are food. Or you might be at the Christmas table and Auntie Mabel's just said a racist joke when you've just brought your black boyfriend over, or your uncle's just said that gay joke when you've just come out, or whatever it may be that's happening. Or, Grandma said, I thought you were on Slimming World. You're not done very well, have you? When you've just got your 7 Stone award, whatever it might be. That can be happening, or you could be in that same supermarket scenario, and you just say to yourself, what 5 things can I see? So at the dinner table, you might say, what 5 things can I see in front of me that aren't food? Okay, well, I can see a bottle of Prosecco, and I can see a plastic thimble from the cracker. Oh, and I can see the cracker, and I can see, what else? It's all food. Oh, I can see a plate. Oh, and I can see Uncle Bob's teeth, because they've come out and they're on the plate next to him. Okay, what 4 things? It doesn't have to be things that you can 5 things you can see can be things that are blue, 5 things that are made abroad, 5 things that are made of wool, 5 things that are any category, okay? The next, what 4 things can I hear? So right now I can hear oh, that's interesting, there's 2 clocks ticking. I don't know where the other clock is. I didn't know that. Okay, so there's 2 clocks ticking. That's weird, isn't it? I think one's for the central heating controls. I can hear the radiator behind me cooling down, and I can hear the water in the pipes because Rufus had a wee not so long ago, and I can hear the flush from that still just refilling. So 4 things you can hear. What 3 things can you feel? So right now I can feel my bum on the seat because it's a leather seat. I can feel my hand, the other hand, because it's holding the tablet and it's making my wrist hurt. And I can feel my foot on the floor in my slipper. What 2 things can you smell? Oh, actually, I can smell Oh, it's this throw. Okay, that's fine. I was going to say I could smell dog, but it's this throw because this is the one the dogs sit on. So I just realised I'm sat on the dog's throw. Never mind. And I can smell air freshener because I sprayed it earlier. And finally, what one thing can you taste? I can still taste my fudge hot chocolate. So by the time you've gone 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you spent enough time focusing on all your different senses, and the insula has had to switch between sight, sound, feelings, all the way through. You should, at that point, be feeling a little bit calmer. And because you've had to focus inward, it means you physically cannot focus outward. You cannot have your amygdala flowing. It's impossible for that to happen. If you get yourself down to 1 and you're still feeling a little bit tense or anxious or wound up, go back up to 5 with a different set of things you see. So you might say, okay, what other thing can I taste? Well, I think I just found a little peppercorn or whatever it is. So I can kind of taste that. Right. What other 2 things can I smell? And this time you might have to sort of go, and look for something. What 3 things can I feel? Right, okay, well I can feel my glasses on my ears. I can feel my jaw where I sort of caught it earlier, and maybe I can feel, I can feel my ring because it keeps turning around because I've lost weight. So they and go so on and so forth. And then when you get to sight, 5 things. If previously you look for 5 things that are red, this time look for 5 things that are purple, or 5 things that are drink, or whatever. And that should help. And it's a really, really good technique. I had to go to hospital recently and used both techniques. I did the counting technique, and then I did my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it got me majorly back in the zone. This mindfulness isn't about not feeling things. It's about feeling them and letting them go. It's about having those thoughts about, God, why is that woman now trying to pay with a checkbook after she's just been trying to pay with pennies, and now she's, what is she? It's about having that thought and not responding to it. Or rather, responding to it and not reacting. Reacting might be, grr, come on, love, hurry up, some of us are waiting here. Responding might be, she's older, it's fine, I can get home 10 minutes later, it doesn't really matter. So that's the difference, okay? So I just wanted to come on and say some of that because it is really, really useful. I started mindfulness practice probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, as it's now called mindfulness, but I was trying to meditate for the longest time, going back to my 20s. I always thought meditation was where, you wear orange robes and sit on a Tibetan mountain somewhere and you try and levitate whilst having a completely blank mind. It isn't. It's about having those thoughts and not following them. And yeah, so anyway, hopefully try those techniques next time you find yourself getting stressed and wound up. They're really useful because you can do both of them around people. You don't have to sort of close your eyes or zone out or do anything. You can just say, oh, just give us a second, and even sort of, just quietly, whilst everything's winding you up, just sort of disappear back into yourself for a few minutes or a few seconds and just look and count the things. You can do it while you're driving even. As long as you're still paying attention to the road, you can still, do these things. Whatever's going on, they can be really, really useful, and I heartily put my own stamp of approval on them. So anyway, if you do give them a go, please do let me know. If you've tried mindfulness or anything like that in the past, let me know. And again, if you're liking these videos and Vlogmas, do please give us one of these thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we will see you on another video very soon. Take care everybody, and as we always say, happy mindfulness.